The league had offered an extension, but at the time we felt that the circumstances necessary for our agreement to an extension weren't quite met.
A billion-dollar media empire is staring down a locker room uprising that could cancel the season before the first tip-off even happens.
The hour and minute and second and every long night has been agony since then of worrying about her.
NBC's return to the WNBA after more than 2 decades was supposed to be historic. The announcement sent waves through sports media, with promotional videos flooding social feeds and hype building around primetime matchups, star-driven broadcasts, and unprecedented visibility. The message was clear that women's basketball had officially arrived on the biggest stage. But behind the scenes, the timing of this announcement landed like gasoline on an already raging fire, because while NBC was celebrating billion-dollar investments, players were still negotiating for basic financial security, proper housing, and fair revenue sharing.
Alluded to an extension, saying that's how a deal was reached for their last collective bargaining agreement. Now, in a statement, the players' union said, while we believed negotiations would be...
This collision of power and frustration has created a volatile standoff. Networks demand games, owners demand compliance, but players demand respect, and the league is caught directly in the middle, trying to balance explosive financial growth with a workforce that feels systematically undervalued. The result is a situation so unstable that insiders now fear the 2026 season may not even start on time, if it starts at all. At the heart of the chaos lies the collective bargaining agreement negotiations, which have dragged on far longer than expected.
Sitting in heaven with her mom and her dad, and with her beloved brother Pierce, and with our daddy.
Talks between the WNBA and the Players Association have been tense, slow, and increasingly combative. Sources close to the process describe meetings filled with frustration, stalled compromises, and mounting anger. Players feel the league is moving too slowly while profits skyrocket. Owners argue sustainability and long-term planning. Meanwhile, NBC and other broadcast partners are preparing for a season that may never happen. With NBC investing billions, players know the league cannot afford a work stoppage. Ratings are soaring. Once ticket sales are breaking records, merchandise revenue has exploded, social media engagement is at an all-time high, the audience is finally here, and the players understand that their labor is now indispensable. This is their moment, and they are refusing to waste it. Behind closed doors, player leaders have reportedly discussed every option, including a full strike if negotiations fail to reach a fair agreement. While no official declaration has been made, the tone has shifted dramatically. The fear of missing games no longer outweighs the desire for long-term security. Veterans and rookies alike are uniting behind a common cause. For the first time, solidarity appears stronger than fear. This growing unity terrifies league executives. The WNBA calendar is already tight, with expansion drafts, free agency periods, collegiate drafts, and preseason scheduling all hinging on a finalized agreement. Any delay could create a domino effect that disrupts the entire operation. NBC's broadcast windows, marketing campaigns, and advertising contracts depend on timely scheduling. If games are delayed or canceled, financial losses could reach staggering levels. Now hold on, did you forget to smash that subscribe button? Because that is exactly why the pressure is intensifying. NBC is not just a broadcaster, it is now a powerful stakeholder. With billions invested, the network has a vested interest in stability, star-driven narratives, and consistent programming. Any disruption threatens their projected returns. Quietly, behind the scenes, industry insiders believe NBC is applying increasing pressure on league leadership to resolve negotiations quickly, even if that means major financial concessions. This dynamic has triggered internal conflict within the league's ownership groups. Some owners recognize the urgency and advocate compromise. Others remain resistant, clinging to outdated business models built during decades of financial instability. They fear setting a precedent that permanently shifts revenue toward players. But what they may fail to realize is that the league's economic reality has already changed. The explosion in viewership is not theoretical, it is measurable. Our games featuring star players consistently outperform network projections. Merchandise sales have surged, attendance numbers are climbing, corporate sponsorships are flooding in, and the league is finally profitable at scale. And players are demanding a fair share of that success, not symbolic gestures. This shift in public sentiment has radically altered the power structure. In the past, owners could rely on fan apathy to maintain leverage. That is no longer the case because the modern WNBA audience is younger, more engaged, and more vocal. They view player empowerment as a moral issue, not just a financial one. Any attempt to suppress player demands risks massive backlash. Inside locker rooms, the mood is tense but resolute. Players are having difficult conversations about sacrifice, timing, and unity. Many understand the personal risk involved in a strike, lost income, lost momentum, lost opportunities. But they also understand the historic nature of this moment. This is not just about the next season, it is about setting a standard for the next generation. Veteran players remember years of being ignored. They remember empty arenas, limited media coverage, and financial hardship. They see this surge as the product of decades of sacrifice, and they refuse to allow owners and networks to reap the rewards alone. Younger players, energized by unprecedented exposure, see an opportunity to reshape the league's future from the ground up. NBC's presence has amplified these tensions. The network's promotional campaigns have heavily spotlighted individual stars, creating massive attention around select players. While this has driven ratings, it has also intensified resentment among those who feel overshadowed. The emphasis on individual marketability has further complicated locker room dynamics as players navigate the intersection of fame, equity, and team culture. Yet the network's strategy is simple. Ratings drive revenue, storylines drive engagement, and star power fuels both. NBC is investing in personalities because personalities deliver viewership. This approach aligns perfectly with modern sports broadcasting, but clashes sharply with the league's traditional emphasis on collective identity. The result is cultural friction layered on top of economic conflict. League executives now find themselves walking a precarious tightrope. They must appease broadcasters, satisfy owners, and negotiate with a player base that is increasingly unwilling to compromise. Every misstep risks escalating tensions. Every delay deepens distrust. Every leaked rumor intensifies speculation. The looming threat of a delayed season hangs over every meeting. Expansion teams are preparing for their inaugural campaigns. Sponsors are planning major activations. Media partners are building marketing schedules. And players are training without knowing if their season will exist. The uncertainty is exhausting. The pressure is not just financial, it is reputational. A labor stoppage at this moment would send shockwaves through global sports media. Just as the WNBA finally commands international attention, it risks being defined by conflict rather than celebration. The narrative could shift overnight from historic growth to catastrophic collapse, yet players are unshaken. They see this as a necessary confrontation. They believe short-term disruption is worth long-term justice. They believe their leverage may never be stronger, and they are prepared to use it. Owners, meanwhile, are deeply divided. Some fear that conceding too much too quickly could destabilize financial planning. Others fear that resisting player demands could alienate fans, sponsors, and broadcasters simultaneously. This internal conflict has slowed negotiations and deepened uncertainty. NBC's role in this drama remains largely unseen, but undeniably powerful. Networks do not invest billions without expecting stability. While they cannot dictate labor agreements, their influence over scheduling, promotion, and exposure grants them enormous soft power. Quiet lobbying, strategic partnerships, and behind-the-scenes negotiations are now shaping the future of the league in ways fans rarely see. The question looming over every conversation is simple: who will blink first? The stakes could not be higher. The outcome of these negotiations will determine the economic architecture of the WNBA for decades. It will shape how talent is valued, how careers are built, and how future stars navigate professional basketball. This is not just a labor dispute, it is a battle for the soul of the league. The billion-dollar question remains unanswered.